Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of what is supposed to be Hobby Ramblers this Saturday, but with the absence of Mr. Jade and Mr. Ryan, we have decided to turn this into an after-action report because last weekend I had a buttload of games, and I'm very excited because I played two very, very different factions, two very, very different lists with two very, very different people. And I'm excited to share my experiences over here with you guys because I learned a damn sight lot about my Tyranids and also my opponents. So joining me today is our resident Russian, Mr. Ari, who just so happens to be another Tyranid Hive Mind player. Say hello, Mr. Ari.
Guys.
Yeah, there you go.
Up some blue horrors today.
Painting out some blue horrors, fantastic.
Yeah.
Hopefully you've got your known crown on today because we're going to be talking in depth about my first game, which happened on Saturday, which was against 2,000 points of Imperial Guard, of mechanized Imperial Guard. So let's start off with the list for the Imperial Guard. So he brought in 3 Lehman Russ tank commanders, 2 of which were loaded up with Demolisher Cannon and 3 multi-melters. The third one was loaded up with the Relic Battle Cannon, 2 Plasma Cannons, and a Heavy Bolter. He brought in a Medusa, a Wyvern, 4 Chimeras with 10-man squads in each of them. He had 4 Chimeras and had 3 10-man squads of Imperial Guardsmen with 1 platoon commander, as well as a 12-man squad of Bogrens with slab shoots and brute shields. I believe he had 4 brute shields, the ones with the 4+ invulnerable saves, and he had a 5-man squad of Scions dropping in. What do you think of this list, Mr. Ari?
I have played against it. Personally, as a person who for some reason has more than 2 armies, I do play Imperial Guard from time to time again, and that's sort of a list that I kind of want to replicate in some sort of ways, because I really think it's very cool to have lots of your infantry just to sit on objectives, but then your main damage dealers being, mechanized things like tanks, chimeras, basilisks, Lehman Russes, all of that stuff. I think it's very strong because you can use the chimeras to safely deliver your cannon fodder to the objectives and drop them off there. Furthermore, your tank commanders, since you can get 3 tank commanders and then 3 Lehman Russes, essentially you can get 6 toughness 8, 14 wound bodies to just vibe there, which would probably be very hard to remove in my opinion.
Okay, so I like where you're going with this, Ari, but that's not what my opponent did. So my opponent actually played it very smart because I was playing my Horde Knits. So, my list with 30 Gaunts.
Yeah.
30 Homer Gaunts, 25 Gaunts, that kind of thing, with the Turbogon and that kind of thing, right? So he actually deployed in a very defensive manner, and he used his Chimeras as lane blockers. So he pivoted them to the side and basically used them to stop me from getting to his Lehman Russes and his Medusa batteries, the things that are actually going to be doing the damage, right? So he played that very smart. So he did that turn 1. Luckily I got first turn, so I was able to... First turn was very weird for me. So I didn't surge up the board as aggressively as I usually did. I was kind of hanging back with the Swarm Lord, as well as my Tyranid Warriors and my Neurothropes. I got into position and basically was able to smite and scream and the horror, the Bulgrins, as well as I was able to smite them again and paroxysm them, so they're going to be fighting last if they charge me. And the Swarm Lord was there in the center with his Tyrant Guard, literally just challenging the Bulgrins to come at him. Because I'm quite confident with 4 Tyrant Guard, the Swarm Lord with his 3+ invulnerable save, if the Bulgrins decide to go for him, or I have to heroically intervene into that combat, yeah, the Swarm Lord's going to do a lot of damage to the Bulgrins. Yeah. So I was answering his call with the Bulgrins in the center of the field by answering with the Swarm Lord and my Tyranid Warriors. and my Homagons surged up the left flank, and my Scythe Hierodule actually was going to make a very ballsy move because there was a gap in his line, a very, very small gap in his line, where I hive commanded with my Swarmlord, like very deep in his behind enemy lines, and I had a 9-inch charge to make against the Manticore with the Scythe Hierodule. And guess what, Mr. Ari?
Well, I mean, first of all, if the Hierodule could get in, I think the gap was quite large. But I assume you made the charge?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, that's a shame.
So Scythe Hierodule didn't make his charge. In my opponent's first turn, he absolutely demolished the Scythe Hierodule. No, sorry. I horrored one of the tank commanders, and one of the Demolisher tank commanders, and I paroxysm the Bullgrins. Yeah, that was it. So the the horrid tank commander that had the Demolisher cannon shot at my Scythe Hierodule, didn't manage to kill it, but he was only on like 4 wounds or something. The second tank commander shot at him, completely annihilated the Scythe Hierodule. He exploded. I used a CP to make him auto explode, and he did some damage there. Fair enough. He's a big distraction con effects. But basically, first turn, my Scythe Hierodule died, but I was quite confident because that was two Lehman Russes. I don't have to worry about shooting this turn. He shot with his Medusa at my Tyranid warriors, which he continued to do for almost the rest of the game. And the Tyranid warriors, every turn, was just tanking it, man. They were just tanking it. That -1 damage to a minimum of 1, that 1 CP stratagem, very strong on a unit of 9 warriors.
Wow.
Like, every turn, that Medusa was maybe killing like only 1.5 warriors. A Medusa.
Those meant to be anti-infantry, right?
Yeah, those are siege bombards, dude. They're strength 10, I believe.
Strength 10?
Yeah.
Never played with the Medusa. I prefer my Basilisks.
Yeah, the D6 damage.
Maybe I should try one someday.
Yeah, they're marine killers. They're AP -3. They're definitely marine killers. But in this game, like, it was just like he just wasn't dealing the damage needed to kill them. With the combination of the -1 damage and also the 6 up feel no pains that they had on them because of the Leviathan trait, yeah, they were quite solid. They were real solid. And during the first turn, they also had the undivided attention of the relic battle cannon tank commander, and he only killed 2 of them. So that was like, that unit just paid for itself. It's just like, it's just standing there and like not moving at all. It's just like, doesn't even matter. Doesn't even matter. They're so cheap. You're gonna use your high, like, your 200, like, your relic tank commander to shoot at them. Fine by me. And as well as you should, because those guys are actually quite nasty when they actually do get in close combat. I fitted it up with the double siding talons, but, well, people have been shocked by how much damage those double siding talons can actually do with warriors. They're quite nasty with them. That first turn, obviously, like, I got like engaged on all fronts, and he didn't. So because I surged up the board and took 3 primaries, and was almost contesting one of his primaries, he was just locked into his defensive position. He couldn't move out. My second turn was when things got real interesting. So my Neurothrope got a super smite off and killed 2.5 Bullgrins.
Wow.
No, sorry.
He killed 2 wounds each?
No, Bullgrins have 3. So he killed 2 Bullgrins because one was already missing a wound.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. And this is the first game I tried out the Tyranids, the one that you so kindly sold to me, Mr. Ari. And
yep.
Holy moly, he failed 5 3-up saves.
Ooh.
While the Tyranids had Slimer maggots on him.
Oh no.
And 4 Bullgrins died.
Wow.
4 of them died. So in that one turn, I killed 6 Bullgrins. Half that unit is dead. That is a rock-hard unit that can delay and fight toe-to-toe with Terminators. And they just got evaporated. And he was shocked. He was absolutely shocked. Those guys really shouldn't have gone down like that. That was an insane... That was an insane round for the Tyranids. That was an insane round for the Neurothrope. And I was continuing to smite with the other Neurothrope and continuing to paroxysm that unit. Just in case, like, he had any funny business that, like, he wanted to, get out with them. All this time, the primary Psyker was trying to cast its, the psychic power that, increases the armor saves, including the invulnerable saves. Increases the saves on the Bullgrins, and instead of just wanting to roll to deny it, anytime he rolled anything above a 5 for it, I just used the Chrono Stratagem 1 CP. Just actually he needed 7 to cast it, so anytime he casted it within the Shadow of the Warp, I just went no. 1 CP, you only get 1 dice to cast that. It's impossible for you to cast that. Because if you're within the Shadow of the Warp, it's -1 to your casting attempt. And,
is that actually true? Is it actually -1?
Yeah, it is actually -1.
Is that what the rules say?
Yes, that is what the rules say.
Right, because that's how I've been playing it, but I could never find the rules.
No, it's there. It's in the Synapse tab. Because it used to be -1 leadership, but when leadership was the stat you needed to use to cast psychic powers, but now it's just -1 to your casting attempt.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't get that off the entire game. And at this point, right, my Homagons were already within charging distance of the Bullgrins and also the primary Psyker. And they charged in. Oh yeah, they charged in. And I was gonna find this very exciting because I finally got to use my Homagon Gene Stealer hybrid tactic.
Nice. Where
I get to reroll all hits because of Tyranid Warrior Prime. He's got a he took the Swarm Commander Waller trait, where he can tell one unit to reroll all hits. And I procced the 1 CP. It's only 1 CP for them because they're not Gene Stealers. Where every 6 they rolled was 2 additional hits, and also the Tyranid Prime was within Synapse range for them to take advantage of his unyielding ferocity or something like that. Where 6s are auto wounding as well.
Did it work?
Oh yeah, it worked. It worked very well. They wiped out the Bullgrins, the rest of the Bullgrins, what was left of the Bullgrins, and also the primary Psyker.
Our theory has been proven very effective.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that was a slaughter. It was his entire center line collapsed within turn 2.
Oh no!
Within 2 turns, and the Swarm Lord was able to make the charge and get into it. Multi-charge 2 Leman Russes. 2 of his Demolisher Cannon Leman Russes. Yeah, the Tervigon was just slowly walking up because the Chimeras were trying to break out, and the Tervigon was there just kind of you really want to go, mate? You really want to go with Chimeras? Got D6 damage on me, bro. Tyranids continued to be an utter just destroyer, and just he was such a valuable part of this army. Oh my gosh, the shooting and just clearing infantry. Oh my gosh. Anytime there was an infantry out of position or out of their camera, just vaporized. He just vaporized them. And
what gun were you using? Rupture cannon or the flesh?
No, the acid spray.
Acid sprayer. Oh.
Yeah, he acid sprayed those Bullgrins and 4 of them died.
Wow. It's a great weapon, the acid sprayer.
Yeah,
Always ran mine with it.
yeah. You're gonna have fun with the next story if we have time today to record it against my fight with the Necrons on Sunday. But yeah, oh my
We'll
gosh,
see.
oh my gosh, his front line was absolutely collapsed. His two tank commanders were in range in combat. Um, he continued to try and get my Tyranid warriors off the field with very focused firepower, but they continued to resist it, which is very very good on the Tyranid warriors. Like oh my gosh, I don't think there was any other unit that could have like tanked that much firepower in most codexes. Like they
Wasn't it
had
pronounced Codices?
in most codices. I don't care.
Or whichever one you prefer, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah. Oh my gosh, they had the undivided attention of the Medusa, a tank commander, and also the Manticore started shooting at them as well at this point in his second turn, and they just held. I think there was only like three of them left, but like they were still there. Yeah, and my Neurothropes were just continuing to just be such a nuisance because that Primus Psyker died, so there was no way that he could like even contest me in the psychic phase. Yeah, at that point of the game, I had ample time to just debuff his units that I didn't want to have like that much of an effect on me. And yeah, the Swarmlord, I double attacked with the Swarmlord. He didn't manage to kill uh, any of the Lehman Russes, but he got them both to the last bracket, which is what I wanted. Because big guns never tire. So they had to shoot at the Swarmlord. And I was confident with his 4+ invulnerable save, and also the fact that the Tyrant Guard were next to him, that he would be able to survive the 6 melter shots. The 12 multi-melter shots.
Did he survive?
And he did. He took 2 wounds, but he did. He took 2 wounds.
Only.
Yeah. Which is a big deal for him, because usually, like, with the Tyrant Guard there, he takes no wounds. So I rolled a couple ones there. And at this point, it was just like I was effectively denying him from like getting his full 15 for his primaries. I had engaged on all fronts, and I had banners up as well by this point. So I was running away with the secondaries. My third secondary was Psychic Ritual, which I only just managed to get to the middle. And honestly, like this was, I think a few of the this looked like it was getting real bad for him real quickly, because in his turn I managed to slay both Lehman Russes. In fact, one of the Lehman Russes exploded in his central line.
Oof.
And it damaged his Medusa, a Chimera, the other Lehman Russ, and the third undamaged Lehman Russ commander. It damaged everything that was important, except for the Manticore, because it was a bit too far away.
It's a theme with him, having his vehicles explode and damage his own stuff, bombing one of his dreadnoughts.
You bombed one of his dead dreadnoughts.
Yeah, a harpy. It flew over, threw spore mines on it. First turn, I somehow managed to kill it with my shooting. It detonated in the middle of his army. A huge ball of Space Marines. 5 units had to take like what, D3 or D6 mortal wounds. Like 10 models just removed because the thing exploded.
Oh no!
Poor lad.
Oh no!
Yeah.
That is not good. That is
Same
very
thing
not
here.
good. Atrocious. Like yeah. At this point, his central line has completely collapsed. The Swarmlord was essentially just like mopping up the Lehman Russes. The Lehman Russes had like too many targets to deal with, and his infantry squads were basically just gearing up to make the last stands, because the Tyrant effects with his acid spray shooting, the Neurothropes with their psychic powers, and all enough the Tervigon with its like melee, were made pretty good can openers. And yeah, there were quite a few emergency disembarks that resulted in some pretty horrendous casualties for him as well. Like I remember there was one emergency disembark where he lost 4 guardsmen, which is
Quite
never a nice thing.
unlikely. It's quite unlikely to lose that many, but
Yeah, I was very surprised as well, and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, oh,
my guardsmen.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It was going down south real quickly, so we ended it on turn 4 because effectively, by turn 4, I was about to wipe him, and by turn 5, I would have definitely wiped him and just scored maximum victory points for that turn, and he could have scored 0. So we called it there. Yeah, we called it there. It was something like 60 something to 28.
Not that big of a gap.
60 something to 28. I didn't even get like my second ritual off, so I lost 15 victory points.
Blimey.
So yeah, what do you think, Ari, as a guard player? What do you think he could have done better in that situation?
The one thing that I see very common with these sort of defense builds is when you really turtle up and try to castle. One problem is that when you begin to do that, you always run the chance of over defending, and at that point, you can't do much. You can't go on the offensive and you can't get objectives, which is sort of what happened in this game. So I would recommend, go ahead, use your chimeras to try block out stuff, but don't just keep them there. Try to move them up forwards as well to sort of push the Nids back. And another thing that you said with the was it the Hormagaunts? What did you kill the chimeras with?
I killed them with the acid spray from the Tyranids, the
Acid
psychic
spray.
powers. Yeah, the
And
acid
psychic
sprayer,
powers.
the psychic powers, and also the Tervigon melee.
Yes, I mean, monstrous scything talents are actually very good against chimeras. I usually throw a flying hive tyrant at them, so that's psychic and melee, which usually could kill 1 or 2 chimeras before dying. So yeah, trying to destroy the chimeras was something that was recommended.
I mean, I didn't even really put much effort into destroying the chimeras. They were just kind of like a side thing. I wasn't really that interested in them. I was more interested in penetrating that central line and getting rid of those Bulgrins and reaching the things that actually were doing damage to me. Because chimeras aren't going to do damage to me. They're just chimeras.
Well, I mean, I think 2 of them were flamers and 2 of them were multi-lasers, right?
Yeah, you'd be surprised how little damage flamers do to hordes nowadays. Like, they're actually not very good.
Don't know. I mean, last time I played against this guy as well. I think his list was slightly different. But essentially how I won was that instead of trying to penetrate, the frontal line with a head-on brute force assault, sort of what you kind of did, is I just really scattered all of my models all over the table because, High Fleet Kraken, I've got that mobility. And I was mainly just shooting at his artillery with my artillery beasts, like the Execrete and the Hive Guards, just keeping his tanks at bay and distracting them with that.
Of course. Well, you had Execrete and a Hive Guard. I had nothing.
You had a Tyrannifex.
I had a Tyrannifex.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Hormagaunts and Gene Stealers went on one flank, and then all my Termagants went on the other flank. Then my Swarmlord and Hive Tyrant went on a full-on frontal assault into his Chimeras and tank line, which they actually surprisingly survived. They killed, Hive Tyrant killed 2 Chimeras, Swarmlord killed 2 Lehman Russes, I think. It was something crazy like that. When he deep striked with his Terminators, he had Terminators back then, I had Zone Thrips in my back line, so they just bogged down the Terminators, and then the Termagants and the Hormagaunts with Gene Stealers just kind of... And that was that. He no longer existed.
Yeah.
Yes, that's 2 ways to destroy Mechanized Guard, You can either out-firepower them, or you can just outflank them and try to wrap them all up.
I don't know. I don't think I out-firepowered him at all. He definitely had more firepower than me. I think
His
it was
army
just
disappeared.
I think it was a combination of just he put so much shooting into the Scythe Hero duel, and I was so aggressive with it, right? It was so too tempting for him to not shoot at it. And that first turn, Alpha Strike, was mostly absorbed by the Scythe Hero duel.
Hmm.
So if he didn't put that much effort into killing it, or even just ignored it, the Scythe Hero duel would have maybe killed his Manticore. That's about it.
Well, he probably likes his Manticores.
One Manticore, but he would have done a lot more damage to something else more important, like the Swarm Lord or my Tyranids, or the Tervigon, because the Tervigon paid for itself just by birthing new units. Because in his Chimera breakout, he went after the 30-man Gaunt unit, and he killed something like 15 of them, and I just replenished 10 of them, and he was like, "What? That was the combined firepower of both of 3 Chimeras." And it's like, no, no, they did come back.
It's quite unfortunate for him.
It's like there's no way you're taking this objective off me, and also yeah. So he tried real hard to contest my objectives, but I just had more bodies on the objectives, and every time I tried out the big brain Tyranids Prime build, and every time he using and because of that relic, every time he used a command stratagem, I rolled a dice to see if I rolled a 5-up or a 4-up to get a command point back. So the Tyranids Prime was really just I'm a big brain boy. I'm here to, support and get all the Warlord traits, because they're 2 Warlord traits.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting that in a 9th edition, since it's an objective game, people always say, oh, Nids are very strong because you can have lots of bodies. But just having bodies doesn't help here. You really have to think about what you're going to do with them. So, for example, bringing a Tervigon isn't always the best choice. However, if you utilize it correctly and you can hide it behind a structure and chain up a bunch of Termagants to it, that's the sort of big brain strategies that you kind of have to pull off if you really want to win with Nids in 9th.
Yeah. Also, you need to sacrifice units. You definitely need to expect units to get hit. You need to focus on durability. Every single game I've played, the Scythe Hero dies. It is without fail. Everyone wants to shoot at that thing. It's big, it's bulky, it's okay, shoot me. But I'm like, go right ahead. You're going to have to put a lot of shots into it, but go right ahead. And it's just a big distraction kind of effects, and I'm perfectly fine with that. It saves other things from getting shot at. The Trinity Warriors as well, people like to shoot at them as well. And honestly, there is very good reason for them to do so, because they are quite nasty, and there's some pretty nasty combinations you can do with Trinity Warriors, and if they actually do get in close combat, it is almost impossible to shift them.
It's also got to do with advertising. If you really go around saying, oh, you see the Scythe Hero duel, very strong, that's probably going to get people to shoot at it more frequently.
I don't even advertise that the Scythe Hero duel is very strong. It's just because it's big.
Yeah, but if you did, if you really took advantage of this.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
You don't even have to lie. You can just be like, Scythe Hero duel, toughness 8, this many wounds. It's going to take
that's what I usually do.
shots to kill.
I just give them information. They ask me, what does the Scythe Hero do? Yeah, it's T8, 18 wounds. Its sides do D3 plus 3 damage per swing, and it's got 6 attacks. And they're like,
that really makes people want to shoot at it.
Yeah, that really makes people want to shoot at it.
You can understand why, though. I mean, I'd shoot at it.
I wouldn't.
It's actually very surprising that even though you play, your specific army, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you go up against your own army, you'll know what to do. Because with me, I don't really fight Nids very often, but when I do, my friends, whenever I'm playing with Hormagaunts, I'm like, these guys are going to do nothing. They're pathetic. If I want to use Hormagaunts, I need to bring this many. But then when I'm thinking, okay, he's got 10 Hormagaunts. He could kill 10 guardsmen with that. It's very scary, you see. I don't know why I think like that, but whenever I'm evaluating another person's army, I see it as a lot stronger than whenever I'm evaluating my army. Very strange.
Well, on my army thing, right, I've just got, I try and bring as many Swiss Army knives as I can. As many tools that I can bring into bear as I can. everything's got a little bit of a purpose to it. It's a multi-role kind of thing. I like, especially in this army where I've purposely gone for like no hive guard, no exocrines. I want everything to be multi-role and multifaceted, so it can do multiple things. Yeah, and that's the aim of the game. I've just got units, I've got resources. I'm not running out of like units or resources. That's what I like to achieve in my games. Just I like the whole idea of the classic Tyranids. Just I've got a bit of a horde army, so it's just like. I also believe that it's because he geared his list a lot to like killing Marines, and he just genuinely was not prepared to deal with this many bodies on the field.
Over specialization.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing because,
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, you are most likely to face Space Marines.
Yeah, probably.
Which may be like, a really good tip for you Tyranid players out there. Like, hey, stop bringing elite army. Stop comparing our stuff to Space Marines. Don't bring a Space Marine equivalent army. Bring things that are cheap and cheerful and just smash them into them, and they'll just like, it's such a target-rich environment. It's very daunting. I was looking at like from the other side of the board at my army, and it's like that is a pretty scary army to face against. I have to say that like that many models in the field, you're kind of like you get lost in like the target acquisition sometimes.
That's actually what you want to achieve.
Yeah, which is really what you want to achieve as like a Tyranids player when you play like that much of a horde army. I don't think I'm playing a horde. I'm playing more like a in between. I've got big bugs, I've got small bugs, I've got like medium-sized bugs. There you go. So I've got a happy medium, which I'm quite pleased about. Quite pleased about, considering that was a very tough list. That was 3 Leman Russ tank commanders. That was by no means an easy list to come by, and that was very, very strong.
I mean, saying that it's strong, yes, it's definitely very strong. However, looking at the other stuff at the store, like the stuff that people play, and comparing it to like my statistics of win rates and loss rates, and this sort of style list being a list that I could effectively beat. I mean, there's definitely some flaws in the mechanized guard. What do you reckon that the main flaws are? I say not enough bodies to really hold objectives.
I think that he misplayed his defensive line.
So
I think
lack of knowledge, perhaps, of how to use mechanized guard?
Possibly. I'm not sure how long he's played it, but I think it's because his first line of Bulgarins was too close to wasn't far enough forward. So if I killed that first line, I could pile into the second line.
Yeah, seems
so
like
he
an
put
issue.
all his eggs into one basket. So there was no way that I could have not piled into his, and he couldn't disengage out of that combat because there was no space. He effectively trapped himself in a corner where he had to fight. So if he advanced up his Bulgarins like a further 6 inches up, and I had to engage those Bulgarins, and if they survived, they would have just disengaged from that combat, and then the Leman Russes would have annihilated my Swarm Lord. Or whatever unit was killing. Yeah. And then the Bulgarins, whatever's left of them, will just move 6 inches up or charge up again to retake that position.
So I guess moral of the story is that just because your list is good, it doesn't mean that you can throw strategy out of the window. An unfortunate deployment can really mess up your entire game.
Yeah, and we had a very weird deployment as well. It was the one with the 6-inch from the center objective thing. Center board, circle one. It was
the one nobody likes.
Yeah, the one that nobody likes, and the weird funky monkey, like, kind of deployment.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of the video. Please help us out by liking and subscribing to this channel. And comment down below and tell us what you think. Of course, like, we are aiming to maybe do this as like a semi-part-time, full-time kind of thing. So any support would really help. So again, thank you very much for subscribing. Things have been going well. Supporters, subscriptions are going up. So thank you very much, and we shall see you guys next time. Bye-bye!
See you guys.